Hey everyone, welcome back to Only Frankly Speaking in my series, Only Frankly Teaching. This is episode 2, dedicated to your first day. These are things that will help ensure a successful school year starting from day 1. It's currently summer still, so I'm not in my classroom. I'm filming at home, so I have this lovely green screen behind me. So I'm not quite sure what environment I'll put back here, but I'll try to make it something fun. Also, don't mind the shirt. I don't actually teach at iHigh Virtual Academy anymore. They closed the school down. I bought the t-shirt. I'm trying to get as many uses as I can out of it before I am dedicated to wearing attire for my new school. So I'm basically just trying to get my money's worth out of this before I end up cutting off the arms and it becomes a gym t-shirt. And yes, you did hear correctly. My school did get shut down. Maybe I'll do an episode on what to do when your school shuts down. That's something that I think would be very interesting because it's not something that you see happen very often with public schools. Charters, but not so much regular or everyday public schools. But in any case, that's a whole other episode that has nothing to do with your first day. This episode is for you, so let's get started. And if you have not watched my first video, then please make sure that you do. I will leave the link in the description below. Also, if you like my content so far and you have not done so yet, then please consider subscribing to my channel. Remember, subscribing not only helps support me, but it encourages me to make more fun videos for you in the future. Now let's get started. So unlike the first video, which I totally intended on being a quick video and it kind of wasn't, it kind of went over 20 minutes, this one is going to be much faster, I promise. So basically, these are just some really quick tips to help get you through that first day so that you are as successful as possible. Okay, so first of all, do not plan anything too serious the first week. Schools are still adjusting their schedules, students are usually still enrolling, and the master schedule is usually a total complete mess. So potentially you may have a very different roster by the end of the week than you do from the very beginning of the week. So stick with icebreakers and get to know you activities and maybe some early assessments that can easily be made up later on. Because quite honestly, anything you do that first week that is truly lesson based or that's really going to be important, that lesson is going to be shot to absolute crap. I have tried it, and every single time I have been reminded very quickly as to why I don't do those things the first week. So take my advice, keep it light, see the value in getting to know your students and doing those ice-breaking activities that help them get to know each other. Start on making your classroom a community that week. Another very important thing is to make sure that your rosters are actually printed out the first day. There are so many different reasons for this. First off, do not assume technology is going to work. So printing out those rosters, they come in handy so that way, let's say, the attendance system is down. You can still take your attendance. Or let's say the fire alarm goes off. Do not think that just because it's the first day that fire alarm is probably not going to go off, because there's actually a higher chance that it is going to go off. I can think of many times on the first day, either because, a sprinkler was dusty or a sensor got blocked or students were smoking in the bathroom when they set it off. A teacher over microwaving popcorn and making too much smoke. There are so many things that can set off that fire alarm. They are so sensitive, and the first day is a classic day for it to go off. And guess what? If it does, okay, you may evacuate to the field or the parking lot, wherever it is that you go on your evacuation route, but you don't know your students and they don't know you. So having your roster printed out will make things far easier when you go to take attendance, to make sure everybody's accounted for, to make sure everybody's safe. And being prepared in those situations make you look really good, not just in front of your coworkers, but also your admin, who are probably going to be evaluating you very soon. Another reason to have those rosters printed out, and this is an excellent thing to do the first couple of days, is when you are taking attendance. We are in an age of diversity where there's so many different types of names. The days of Bob, Sally, Susan, Joe, those days are over. We have all different types of names, all different types of pronunciations. And it's okay if you don't know how to pronounce a student's name. But what you need to do is make sure that you ask the student, how do you pronounce that? And when they do, make a phonetic note in the binder of how to spell their name. And then later on, you can type it out or put it with your notes or whatever. Students so appreciate you if you can get their name right away. And students will judge you if you cannot get their name right, especially if that student is a different culture from your own. So it does make things easier. It shows that you greatly respect them and they will give you that respect in return. Because let's face it, getting to know each other's name, that's step one, right? I also like to have a sign-in sheet, so that way as students are coming in, I have a backup for attendance because, again, you don't know their names yet, and if a mistake is made and the student says, hey, I was here yesterday, you will at least have their signature to verify that. Something I never do on the first day is give assigned seats. Many teachers will tell you, oh, I like to have assigned seating right away. I seat them alphabetically, or they use a program to randomly place them. However, I like to be a little psychological in my game. I want them to sit exactly where they want to sit. I want to know exactly who their friends are. Who is it that's going to keep their attention from mine? Who is it they're most likely to get distracted by? And that way, I can make sure they never sit next to that person again. No, just kidding. That way, you can kind of sort of plan to, like, oh wait, this person barely speaks English and they're really friendly with this person who speaks their language but also speaks very good English. So you can use that to your advantage. Or you could say, oh, these two girls or these two boys, they cannot sit next to each other because, let's face it, I mean, even as adults, if you're in a meeting and you're sitting next to your best friend, are you really going to behave? No, seriously, are you really going to behave? I wouldn't. I can't. My friends are way too fun. Hopefully yours are too. So again, a teenager who definitely does not have that filter, or is much less likely to, sitting them next to their best friend is pretty much setting them up to fail and have a more difficult year. It's also good to know who prefers to sit in the back of the room. Sometimes those students are the ones who they need more attention. So you might say, wait a second, that kid, they need to sit up front. There's a reason why they're going back there. So right there, seeing where they decide to sit, it is very, very telling of what your classroom dynamic is going to be, so that way you can choose their seats appropriately. And always make sure that students have something to work on even the first day that they can do independently while you are doing other things. The first day, especially the first period or two of the first day, is probably going to be chaotic. You're going to have students walking into the wrong classrooms. You're going to have students that have scheduling issues and scheduling questions. You may have other teachers that are going to have difficulties and questions that might be approaching you. So I always count on having a consistent amount of interruptions in the first day or two. So I always make sure that there's something independent for them to do. It can be a survey or a get to know you assignment or even a first day essay, anything that keeps them engaged while you are taking care of other business. And there's even a good chance that you won't need those things. Sometimes things actually do go very smoothly, but always cover your bases because idle hands, they really are the devil's playthings. And also making sure that they know that they're coming to class to get work done, to learn, to be engaged. You want to set that tone the very first day of class. The first day, that first week, the tone of that first week sets the tone for the whole rest of the year. So start off strong. Some of my other friends who have taught, they always like to give the advice, do not smile until Christmas. And there is a bit of truth to this if you are a younger teacher. You'll see some articles that's saying, oh, don't do that, that's, it's unfriendly and it makes people uncomfortable. But the bottom line is, if you're a younger teacher, having a more serious attitude and not being so smiley with them might kind of help set again, going back to tone, might help set up that tone of I'm the adult, you're the student, being that you're closer in age. So of course, every situation is different. Use your own judgment. But if you're with students who are very close to your age, like, I don't know, you're teaching juniors or seniors and you are a 25-year-old out of college, then you do need to work a little harder in making sure that there is that clear mental separation, that they know that you are the authority figure in the classroom. You want to make sure that you start making friends with your classroom neighbors. Get to know the teachers next door and across the hall. They are going to be your lifelines when things get crazy. I don't care how good of a school it is. I don't care how organized and structured it is. There's always going to be some sort of unforeseen circumstance or emergency where you're going to need to have another adult handy. And having a friendly relationship with the teacher next door is a blessing. Being friendly with your teacher neighbors helps out when you have difficult disciplinary issues, when you need someone to cover your class quick when you go to the bathroom. If you run out of copies and it's their prep, they might offer to help you out. There are so many countless reasons as to why you want to be friendly with your neighbors. It's a whole other video on its own. And on the note of having extra copies, do count on everything going wrong at any given time. So what that means is make sure you have extra copies Oh, you mean your class size is not supposed to be more than 36 students, but 50 showed up? Guess what? That's a thing that can happen, and it's just best to be prepared for it. Also, don't count on technology to work properly. Technology can fail at any given moment. If you have a lesson that is 100% digital, then make sure you have some sort of backup lesson that is a handout that is valuable that you can use at any given time. Because technology will fail. Look into my eyes, technology will fail at some point. And being that teacher who is always prepared is another lesson for your students to know that, you know something, when things go wrong, you too always have to make sure that you are prepared. There is no good reason to not work and to get your assignments done. Make sure you have a list of important extensions by your phone. This could be custodial, this could be the nurse, this should include guidance counselors, principals, everyone you could possibly need to contact, especially those in case of emergency situations. If there's an emergency, a student is having a seizure and you need the nurse, or there's a fight and you need security to come quickly because you're going to need help breaking that up, or any other sort of emergency situation, you may not remember those extensions off the top of your head. So having them right by your phone, it just makes life so much easier. And it's also great because you don't have to keep looking things up. Eventually you'll know them all by heart, but until then, always make sure you have your extensions by your phone. Actually, you know what? Even when you do know them by heart, keep them there because when you have a substitute or a visiting teacher, you want to make sure that, everyone has easy access to reaching whoever it is they need to reach in case something goes wrong. So this is one of the most important things I can tell you, and that is try to reserve your voice as much as possible, starting from the very first day. Even when you learn how to speak from your diaphragm, because they tell you that if you speak from your diaphragm, it does help your voice because you're projecting from here, not here. Even if you know how to do that, especially when you first start teaching or if you've been off for a couple months and you start talking a great deal more again, your voice gets strained so easily. So if you have a classroom microphone, then use it from day one. If you don't have a classroom microphone, you may want to consider investing in one if your school does not provide one because it does help save your voice. I'm also convinced that the moment your voice starts to get sore and your throat starts to get raw, that kind of gives an invitation for little nasties and germies to kind of get in there and make you sick. So it comes in handy for preventing illness. Also, if you've ever tried to teach without your voice or not having a good voice, it is a miserable experience. I mean, you cannot show any sign of weakness in front of your students. You ever hear the expression, never let them see you sweat? That definitely applies. Those students, those little cherubs, they can smell weakness a mile away. If they know you're not 100%, they will start circling you like vultures and pick at you until there is nothing left. So trust me, save your voice. Never come to work hungover. That all younger teachers make that mistake. Actually, some older teachers still make that mistake. I made that a point. I learned that at a very, very young age. Do not go to work hungover because they will know something is different about you and they will take advantage. So protect your voice. Always keep cough drops. Always keep something to help soothe your throat in case you start to feel a little weak. Because once your voice goes, your job gets 10 times more difficult. I don't care what age you are or what year you're in, but make sure that you take care of yourself. Your first couple of days especially, teaching is... You ever see the movie Everywhere, Everything, All at Once? I think that's the title. Well, that's a lot what it's like. There's so much coming at you at once. You are physically moving around so much. You are mentally thinking so much. You're constantly trying to problem solve and help people. It is a very exhausting job to do, especially the very first couple weeks of school. So make sure that you have snacks ready to go. Make sure that you're not letting students in your room during lunchtime unless it's raining or something. Make sure that you keep some time for yourself so you can mentally prepare yourself for the next part of your day. Snacks, hydration, snacks. Did I mention you should have some snacks? Always have water nearby. Always have caffeine nearby. If you're not I don't understand those teachers who say, "Oh, I don't drink coffee. I'm just great." Yeah, you know what? I don't know. You're on something because I cannot keep up with students without caffeine. If I'm wrong, I apologize, but how the hell do you teach without having caffeine nearby? They're so much younger than you. They have so much more energy. Keep it nearby. Just trust me. If you're not on coffee, you get on that stuff. You're going to be an addict like the rest of us. Peer pressure, peer pressure. Snacks. You need to have snacks. I don't care if they're healthy, if they're sugary, if they're carbs. Just have some snacks because you are going to need that energy. Trust me. Again, stay hydrated. Drink water. Drink all the time. The second your pee is coming out, anything less than clear, as I'm starting to choke because I'm becoming dehydrated. 1 second. Much better. Didn't have it right on me, but it was within arm's reach. So do take note. I think I made my point clear that self-care is very important. Also, make sure you plan nap time as soon as you get home. Every year, the first few weeks of school, I come home and I drop. I go to my couch in my bed and I just drop face first, and I have a power nap of at least 15, 20 minutes. If I don't pass out altogether for at least an hour. So that's a very real circumstance that could happen to you. It is perfectly normal. Your body is going into shock from the sudden increase in activity that you are going through. This is the part of teaching that most people don't understand. It's not just a physically demanding job, it is a very mentally demanding job. And it's not to say that engineers and doctors aren't always busy and always thinking, but students are in a constant and intense state of need. They need help. They need directions restated. They need attention. You're going to be walking around a lot. You don't believe me? Wear an iWatch or a Fitbit or whatever it is that measures steps and count how many steps you will walk around a classroom in a day. I would say the amount of steps I do per day just in classroom steps has got to be pretty close to 5 miles. And any teacher who is not doing at least 3 to 5 miles of walking in their classroom a day, unless they're older and they have to take it easy, or there's something preventing them from walking around, then I question whether or not they're really doing their job. Yeah, that's right. I'm judging you. I also don't trust teachers who their classrooms are perfectly neat at all times. And I apologize because I have some friends who actually have it so together that they can perform this miracle of always having a clean classroom. But even at sometimes during certain activities, their rooms get messy, even if it's just for a couple of hours. Learning is a very messy thing. That might be something that I should include in my next video too, is making sure students are always part of the cleanup process, because learning is messy. And having a mess in the classroom, often that's the result of a lot of learning going on. So these are just a few things that I like to make sure that I have ready and that I do the first day or two of school. I hope that this advice benefits you as much as it benefits me. If you try my suggestions, I would love to hear about how it goes in the comments below. So please feel free to share your first day. Let us know how it went. Also, if you have any other suggestions or tips that can help make teachers successful in their first day, feel free to share those. I would love to hear them. Even though I've been teaching 23 years, I am far from knowing everything. Remember, good teachers are always humble and always willing to learn more. If you like my content so far and you have not done so yet, then please consider subscribing to my channel. Remember, subscribing not only helps support me, but it encourages me to make more fun videos for you in the future. I want to thank you one more time for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.